Okay, so this question deals with the workings of a nuclear reactor and what happens if the power is cut off. Okay, so the diagram shows the structure of a nuclear reactor. The boron control rods and pump are powered by mains electricity. So these are control rods that slide in and out of the reactor. When they're in, the reactor slows down. When they're out, the reactor speeds up. And here we have the pump, and that pump pumps coolant around the reactor, and that coolant takes the heat away and uses it to turn water into steam to drive a turbine. But it's also there as a safety feature because it keeps the reactor cool. Okay, and these are both driven by power mains electricity. So the question says, explain why the reactor cannot function safely during an interruption to the supply of electricity in a power cut. Explain how a nuclear accident is prevented and the consequences of a nuclear accident. Okay, so we need to explain why it cannot function safely. So we need to make a statement that the control rods control the nuclear reaction when lowered. Okay, so that's their function. Okay, and the pump ensures the reactor is cooled effectively. So that's what they do. Without power, neither will function. Okay, now in order to prevent a problem, the control rods are actually on a switch that, if it senses the power has gone off, they're dropped into the reactor automatically. Okay, so they don't need to be, on a normal operation, they can be lowered and raised under electric power, but in the absence of power, they drop into the reactor automatically so that the reactor stops the fission process, and therefore the heat is reduced. Okay, so we need to state that the control rods however will drop automatically without power, and that hopefully will shut down the reactor. Okay, now if that doesn't work, then we're in trouble, because then the reactor will get hotter and hotter and hotter due to the nuclear fission reaction, and it will go into what is known as meltdown. And a full meltdown is where the nuclear reactor, the core here, okay, gets so hot that it melts its way down through the bottom of the internal parts of the reactor, through the concrete shield, and then into the earth. Okay, and at that point is when we start getting real problems because of the release of radiation. Okay, so a meltdown can lead to radiation leak, and possibly, almost definitely, but possibly an explosion. And if there's an explosion, that just serves to spread the radiation further away. Okay, and so that meltdown and explosion will lead to radioactive contamination of the near site, but also much further away if that explosion puts radioactive material into the atmosphere. Okay, so To answer the question, you need to include these points. Okay, you need to explain the workings of those two parts that are named specifically in the question, the control rods and the pump that drives the coolant. You would need to explain the safety features built in, which is the fact that the control rods can be dropped automatically, okay, in the event of no power. And you need to explain the consequences of it all going wrong, which would be this basically this release, so radiation leak and possibly an explosion, which would spread the radiation much further. Okay, so you need to ensure that you try and put these sort of answers together in a clear and well-written manner to make sure you gain the top band of marks, okay, because they're both looking for your knowledge, but they're also looking for your ability to write a clear account and a clear, well-written answer, okay, to get the full marks.